Good morning. Alright, I look rough because I am. It is 6:10 in the morning. I just woke up. I do not have any coffee to make. I'm gonna go to Publix and fix that. I'm looking at this tin that says good news, and I was laughing about it because, like, it's not that I don't have any good news to share with you. It's kind of part of why I haven't filmed in a minute, because I was like, I don't know what to talk about. I had a good week last week. It's not that I had bad things happen. It was just like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like crazy to see the things that happen to you because you're trying to do the right thing. And I was watching this guy, he like helps fix lawns for free. And most of the videos that I've seen of him, like, the neighbors come up and harass him, like, at least one, to try to be like, why are you in my neighborhood? And he's like, I just clean up old abandoned houses, you know, for the city. And, you know, people just give them a hard time for no reason, like, just to give them a hard time when people are just trying to do the right thing. And, yeah, that seems like what it felt like a lot this week. So I wasn't necessarily in the right headspace to kind of like chit chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some clips here of the things that I've been up to, as well as today, because I'm going to get back on track, and we're not going to let mediocrity stand in the way of progress. That's all I'm going to say.
Started for you today.
Now it's time to head to the movies with our cinematic crusader. Here with another titanium take, here's our movie maven Kai.
Well, hello everyone. It is I, once again, your movie maven Kai. And we are like really getting into the depths of September, which I love because it means that we can just sway right into autumn. And what better way to sway into autumn than with Mr. Patrick Swayze? Oh my God. How amazing was the grip that this man had on all of us in the 80s and 90s and even into the 2000s. And I mean, honestly, even now, like, we look back at his filmography and we watch all of his absolutely incredible roles, and we still have such incredible love for this multi-talented man. What a dancer, what a singer, and what an actor. I talked about To Wong Foo when we did Pride Month, because I think it's one of the most important movies for, you know, our community. And I feel like I didn't waste it, but I would have loved to have talked about it now. But I will say I was going through Pluto the other night, and Ghost was on. And what a great movie Ghost is. And what a great one to talk about when we're going to talk about, you know, swaying into spooky season. But I'm not going to talk about that one. You know, being the California girl that I am, there really is one, you know, really quintessential Patrick Swayze movie that I should talk about. And that's Point Break. But I'm not going to talk about that one. As an elder emo millennial. I mean, the one movie that we all kind of shaped our personalities around for a solid 6 months was Donnie Darko. And there's so many people that love and hate this movie, and it's completely understandable. If you've never seen it before, it's an interesting watch now because, at least for me, because when I first saw it, I was like, this movie is diving into some real interesting things when it comes to like mental health, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. And I loved it, and I still love it. But now, as someone who, is, as a psych person, I'm a behaviorist, looking at some of the things that they noted trying to, shape this person and really show a lot of their issues, as someone with mental illness, you got a lot wrong, but I'm still so happy that it was something that really kind of started that conversation. And I feel like it's a movie that really made a lot of us start talking about the issues that we have, which I think is great. If you've never seen it before, incredible cast, even more like incredible of a soundtrack. So you've got Drew Barrymore, Patrick Swayze, Noah Wyle, and then it was really the movie that kind of springboarded the Gyllenhaals, Maggie and Jake. Because before that, like Maggie, I think it had like some, tiny minor roles and other stuff. And Jake had done, I think, Bubble Boy. And that was it. And that's all we knew him from. So we loved him. We thought he was adorable and everything. And then he comes off with Donnie Darko, where he plays this super dark, really, really, troubled kind of guy. He's going through therapy. He's got all these family issues. And he ends up with an imaginary friend named Frank, which is a 6-foot bunny that's missing an eye. And I mean, like I said, a lot of us looked at this and went, I identify with a little too much. And then a lot of people looked at it and said, I want to identify with a little too much. But basically, it's, a high school experience in the 80s, which, gives it that killer soundtrack. But, you have a lot of these characters, and I'd like to call it an ensemble cast, but really you just have, a lot of very influential characters that make his life and his world more well-rounded, because at the heart of it, Donnie is written as a very flat character, and it's the universe that's built around him, the situation that's built around him, that is that much more impressive. And I always thought that was kind of cool. He is almost a plot device for the entire thing. It's, I would love to tell you the plot. To this day, I have no idea what it is. And if you watch the movie, if you haven't watched the movie and you plan to, just know that, going in, it is visually just gorgeous. But depending on the person that you talk to and, how they took it, the plot can be a lot of different things. So, you've got Drew Barrymore, who is the English teacher who is, just kind of frustrated with, being a teacher and having been a teacher, recently, and understanding all of the things that, the hoops that you have to jump through and, all of that stuff. It's a really interesting take in kind of thinking about how this was all done back in the 80s. What all was different, what all was even, that much more difficult. And, the ideas of, taking on, high school when you're a young teacher. That's a really interesting kind of, take to look at there. Then you have Noah Wyle, who is, their science teacher. And, that's who Johnny goes to talk to about things like, Back to the Future and time travel and all of this, after his imaginary friend has basically told him that he is going to, relive this, time, and he's got to change it. And he's got to, understand, why he's been chosen to be this person. And then you have Patrick Swayze, who, when he took on an interesting role, he took it on and put his entire self into it. And the role that he takes on is this guy who is basically a guru. He's the head of this, religious-esque kind of idealism that comes in and like takes over this town, where, they spout this idea of every feeling and emotion that you have comes from either fear or love. Everything else, jealousy and envy, all of that, is branched off from fear or love. And so the PTA gets a hold of this idea and they try to get all the kids into, these, groups and like youth groups that, this is how you understand, life, and this is how you move through it. And as a behaviorist, I look at this and go, oh my God, this is one of the most toxic situations. And then I remember seeing it when I was a kid and laughing at it and thinking like, this is just stupid. And it's another way that, these parents tried to, control the kids and, understand what was happening in their life and get them to, divulge their secrets and all of this. But looking at it now, it's so toxic and it's so dangerous. And the sad part is that group that they are essentially parodying. Anyway, it still exists. It is still something that we study, where it's something that is, it's so, thought of to be so profound that people have, really latched onto it and they're still teaching it, in school situations, in religious organizations. There's books that you can talk to your kids about, the dangers or the importance of fear and love and, all of this. It's really kind of interesting to see like how that was something that, they're talking about in a movie made in the early 2000s, set in the 80s, and it's still prevalent now. So, he's the head of this cult. He's got all of these like videos that he does, and he's on this tour, and he comes to Donnie's school and he talks to them about, fear and love and, how to be, this amazing person. And I hate to, spoiler alert on this, but he ends up having relations with several of the kiddos that he is, touting all of this information to. So like I said, one of the most beloved, actors of that time, and he chooses a role like this. And honestly, I don't feel like anybody else could have done this role and their career could have survived, because it was one of those, I mean, like the only other person I think maybe would be Kyle MacLachlan, because he was known as creepy guy at that point and still like, cast in all those creepy guy roles and still, looked at as being a cool guy to work with, as a good actor, as, all of that. And I love Kyle MacLachlan for that. But honestly, Patrick Swayze was the way to go, because he's so charming and beautiful, in this role. And, when I remember when I first saw it, I was like, you see it coming, but you don't want to believe it because it's Patrick Swayze. That's how good the man was. And I struggle to say was, because gone too soon. We love him so much. And when I watch movies like this, and I actually haven't seen this one in probably a couple of years, and it's getting to be that time of year. I think I might pull this one out because I do own it on DVD and Blu-ray. The extended version, the extra 15-20 minutes of the movie that they show you in the director's cut, in order to better explain what the movie's about, does not help, but it is visually stunning. So if you have the means, if you have the time, make the time if you don't, and, sit down, revisit this one, watch it for the first time. You know what you're getting into. You know that it's way out there. It's definitely considered an art piece, if you will. And really just enjoy the soundtrack. Enjoy Drew Barrymore with super long hair and 80s style glasses. She looks so beautiful in this movie. Noah Wyle, who I was absolutely in love with from ER at the time. This was the movie that I really, got to know who Jake Gyllenhaal was outside of a bubble. And, the absolutely incomparable Patrick Swayze. Go and appreciate, one of those kind of, fringe films that he did. And at the time it was very much fringe. But look at it, see how, how much pop culture and amazingness came out of it. Donnie Darko, guys. They made a sequel called S. Darko that's supposed to be about his sister that I never saw, but I know Jackson Rathbun from Twilight is in it, Jasper. And I hear that he looks slightly less in pain. So let me know if you saw that one, if you liked it. Let us know if you watched Donnie for the first time or if you revisited it and how much you like it. If you still like it. Other than that, guys, like it is, sway into September, Swayze, baby. Let's see what I come up with next week. I haven't quite decided yet. Are we going to go another, deep cut, or are we going to hit one of his biggies? I don't know. Let's figure that out together. Love you guys every week, every day, every hour, every minute. We love you. Drink your water, take your meds, and especially if you're going to go watch this one. Take those meds. Have a good week, guys.
You coming? It's dinner time.
I actually had some notes written down about self-sabotage. Hold on. I was saying like self-sabotage. I've been talking to this kid at work a lot about this. And I think for me lately, like my why not has been bigger than my why. And I recognize that that's like a core tenet of self-sabotage. And, some people can't help themselves. And if you try, then it almost seems like it agitates them because they didn't get there naturally. And then I was just basically saying, like, I think we're all addicts. We're just kind of functional in different ways because some people choose to control what their output is and, like, what their performance is. And then there was this, like, note that I wrote myself where it was, like, I spent my 20s trying to look snatched, but then I spent my 30s trying not to get snatched, like kidnapped or whatever. Trafficking, all that. The thoughts of my mind at midnight, right? But I just kind of wanted to come on and say that, like, you can try to help other people and you notice, like, they'll give you pushback. That has nothing to do with you. Keep trying your best. If people don't want to accept your help, then, give it to somebody else. Maybe yourself. Love you.